So yeah, as I was saying, oh my god, Logan Paul is so cancelled. He's a scammer who beat up his pig. Why do people even like him? PewDiePie is so much better. He would never beat up his pigs. Oh my god, and PewDiePie's dog died. F's in the chat, so sad, L.
Zezre, we're here to talk about your problems. This is a therapy session.
What? I don't have any problems.
Well, you wouldn't be here if you didn't, would you?
What are my problems then?
For starters, can't you talk to me normally? Every time you're here, you're on that little iPad of yours. Is that Roblox?
It's Minecraft Pocket Edition? Roblox is for babies! I'm a grown woman.
Yes, a grown woman who can't keep a job because she can't focus, who has been diagnosed with clinical depression, who has no interests or friends outside of the internet.
What? Me? Depressed? Nah, I'm not depressed. Oh my god, I just found diamond!
See? You can't function without this thing. Okay, fine, you can have it back. This is a serious issue, and I'm starting to see the same happening to my clients.
So, what is wrong with me?
You're an iPad kid, Zezre.
I'm a what? Hello cool kids, or shall I say hello iPad kids. I haven't uploaded since last year, so happy new year to you all. I hope you missed me. I was busy with life and exams, but I'm back and I'm looking forward to whatever this year has to offer. So today we're going to be talking about iPad kids. We've all seen them. They're those little slimers who are basically glued to their iPad screens as their parents are too busy or just don't care enough to entertain them. So in order to keep them quiet, they just hand them over an iPad. An iPad, having access to the internet, and the internet being a place that holds all the information known to mankind, and My Little Pony pornography, which makes it a uniquely dangerous device to give to your children, as they could be exposed to God knows what. But this type of parenting is becoming increasingly more and more common, and as a result, children from all over the world are becoming addicted to technology, specifically the iPad. I'm sure you know what an iPad is, but I'll tell you about it anyway. It's a product released by Apple and has many of the similar function of an iPhone. It's just bigger, which makes it perfect for small children who mainly use these types of devices to watch videos or play games, which is why the iPad has become so popular amongst them. But the first ever iPad was released in 2010, which was 13 years ago. So ever since then, an increasing number of children have been given these devices, and many of these children are already starting to grow up and they are reaching their teenage or even adult years. Of course, I am one of those children, which is the whole reason why I'm making this video. I am an iPad kid, and I want to talk about what effect that had on me and my development now that I'm almost 16 years old. And just as a disclaimer, I actually have some nuanced opinions on this matter. I'm not just gonna sit here and complain like many of the adults who talk about this issue. I'm not planning to try and teach parents what they should and shouldn't do with their children, because I know the majority of parents do want the best for their kids, and being a parent is hard, so I'm not trying to criticize anyone for giving their child a device. I am entirely going to be basing off the majority of my points from my own experience with growing up chronically online, and in the end I did turn out fine despite being exposed to the internet since I was a toddler. As you can see, I am running a successful YouTube channel, I have many interests and talents, I am very self-disciplined, I have good friends, and at the end of 2022 I managed to get into one of the most prestigious and hardest schools to get into in the UK, which is one of the reasons why I've been so busy. But despite me being successful, I do notice some habits and side effects that will probably always plague me for the rest of my life, that I believe to have been as a result of growing up with an iPad always being placed 2 inches away from my face. So I believe I am qualified to talk about this subject. Now, I thought I would provide a little backstory to my history with the internet. Since I was born in 2007, this may come as a shock to you, I don't even remember what my life was like before having access to the internet. I grew up alongside the internet. It was a constant aspect of my life and my childhood, and this is true for a lot of kids my age or younger. I don't even remember how old I was when I got my first iPad because I just always remember having one. When I asked my mother, even she couldn't remember. She said that my first iPad was actually originally hers, and I just kind of ended up using it so much as a toddler that it became mine. Also, please don't send any hate to my parents. They didn't neglect me. My parents entertained me anytime they could, but obviously they had their careers, so it's not like they could have sat there monitoring my every action 24/7. They shouldn't have let me go unsupervised on the internet, but they did. And it's not like I resent them for it or anything. It's just an understandable parental mistake. Anyways, what exactly did little toddler Zezre do on this device? Well, I mainly played games and watched YouTube. YouTube, an integral part of my life. Throughout my childhood years, I spent a few hours watching YouTube almost every day. And don't get me wrong, boomers, I still had a fulfilling childhood. I was always a hyperactive kid, so I never really enjoyed sitting in one place for too long. I always had to keep myself busy somehow. But YouTube was a great way to distract my hyperactive mind for a little while, so it was no surprise that I got addicted to it. In my early days of watching YouTube, I became infatuated with Minecraft. I also played the crappy version of Minecraft Pocket Edition on my iPad back when it had no caves. And my absolute favorite YouTuber throughout my entire childhood was Stampy Longhead. He's such a comfort to me that I still watch him sometimes when I get a bit sad. And to those who used to watch him, please go watch him now. He still makes great content. Stampy was a Minecraft YouTuber, and what made him stand out to me amongst the sea of Minecraft YouTubers was just how cheerful, funny, and positive he was.
Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to a Minecraft Let's Play video.
And he had the most creative Let's Play content. He didn't just play Minecraft. He created storylines and lore to his videos. So needless to say, his content basically raised me and shaped me to the person that I am today. Another YouTuber that had a huge influence on me was PewDiePie, who is still my favorite YouTuber up to date. I initially started watching his videos when I was 5 years old because I could barely read properly and thought that his YouTube name said Pinkie Pie instead of PewDiePie. Pinkie Pie was a My Little Pony character. We'll get to that later. In this case, I do believe I was way too young to have watched PewDiePie during that time. PewDiePie was hilarious, but his content was obviously aimed at an older audience, so I learned a lot of new vocabulary thanks to him. Moving on, let's discuss the questionable things toddler Zezre watched. As any normal toddler, I loved toys. So in my early years, I consumed a lot of toy-related content. You know, opening Kinder eggs, toy hunts, collectors, such and such. I was obsessed with these videos. But little did I know, I was being advertised to. As a baby, I had no understanding of the concept of money, and seeing these people open and hoard large amounts of toys made me want to do the same thing. But I didn't understand that these things are incredibly expensive. So I was spoiled and ended up with a literal giant collection of toys. I still keep a lot of them, by the way, purely for nostalgia and also because I'm grateful for them. Those aren't even all the toys I had gotten as a kid. There were so many more, but we gave them away for obvious reasons. So right off the bat, we are seeing a negative consequence of the internet, but there's more. In the large cupboard I showed you, there are ponies and Littlest Pet Shops. Surprisingly, the content I watched of those two things on YouTube was explicit and inappropriate. Starting off with Littlest Pet Shops, these cute little animal pets were used as props for roleplay type content on YouTube. Kids and teens and sometimes even adults would create series using these pets. I watched a lot of them as an infant. A lot of them were pretty inappropriate. I remember the most popular LPS show on YouTube was ironically titled LPS Popular, and it had some mature themes emulating a teen drama. To baby Zezre, it was like an LPS version of Euphoria. My Little Pony was far worse though, and I talked about this topic in the past. I was also very heavily criticized for talking about this topic in the past by a grown man who was accused of grooming someone. Anyways, you can watch those videos if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on the matter, but because of bronies, a lot of content that had My Little Pony in them weren't actually kid-friendly. They were made by bronies for bronies, but a 5-year-old let loose on the internet wouldn't know that a pony video was actually made for adults. So I ended up watching a lot of adult and graphic content just accidentally because I happen to like My Little Pony. And it's actually hilarious thinking of how a 5-year-old got taught about the birds and the bees through watching pony videos on YouTube. I mean, it's hilariously sad. At one point, I watched so much of this disgusting content that I became desensitized to it. And I didn't talk about this in my brony videos, but I became one of those kids who was obsessed with horror and creepypasta. I started actively searching out horror stuff on YouTube because I thought I was cool for not being scared of that type of crap anymore. But it's really not cool. It's super concerning looking back. Speaking of my weird obsession with horror, little Zezre inevitably took an interest in horror Let's Plays. This started around when I was 7 years old. At that time, a certain indie horror game started becoming very popular. Ah yes, my next obsession. You all know about FNAF. It's a horror game about haunted, bloodthirsty animatronics. I was addicted to the lore and I played the games myself on my iPad. Of course I did, I was an iPad kid. I love this game so much that I have a very embarrassing story. I think I've told this one before, but when I was 8 years old, I performed I Hope You Die in the Fire by Living Tombstone at my school's talent show. I feel like at that point, the symptoms of me being an iPad kid became severe. Like, I absolutely saw nothing wrong with singing that song in front of my whole school. As I grew, the amount of social media platforms I used also grew. I got an Instagram account, Vine, Musical.ly. All of a sudden, I could post whatever I wanted anywhere. And I'm lucky that I never came across dangerous situations with strangers online, but I know that many kids who get unsupervised accounts do get into those scenarios. With my long history of being online, I have been in my fair share of fandoms, and I'm not going to talk about each and every single one of them in detail because I feel like they could all get their own videos and I don't really have a lot of time. But they did influence me a lot growing up. Fandoms made me more creative, but they also traumatized me even further because of the messed up crap that oftentimes happened within them. For example, Undertale. Played the game. It was incredible. I was obsessed with it. I loved how there was a whole community of people who were also obsessed with it. But if you were there, you know. There was also a time when I created my own YouTube channel where I would upload videos. Not this one, the original Zezre. I was 10 years old and I became interested in animation memes. I want to make a whole video just about this in the future, by the way. Animation memes are these short animated videos that people make their own versions of. So someone makes an original and others use their characters to basically do the same thing but in their own style. It's hard to explain, but I started to really love them. I was always a very artistic person, so these videos motivated me to start animating and uploading my own animations to my channel. My animation career didn't really go well, but I did get 100 subscribers, and a few years later I used my animation skills to animate PewDiePie an intro, which he ended up using in 2 of his videos. Anyways, despite how innocent this animation meme thing sounds, it really wasn't. First of all, a large majority of these animators were furries, and there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that, but many animation memes were heavily sexualized. Apart from sexualized animations, there were also vents. Vents being a way for these animators to vent out their emotions. Therefore, they were very edgy, many of them having themes of suicide, depression, trauma, or even sexual assault. Many animators would also continuously get into scandals and drama, some being more tame, while some scandals were literally about these people owning or drawing CP. Even I, as a kid, started to look up to people who I later found out were just the most disgusting human beings. Also, during this time, I started finding out and getting interested in mental disorders, and because children want attention and are stupid, I kind of decided that I had depression because I thought it was cool. So I would make those very same depressing vent animations as if I was going through something horrifying when in reality I lived a very pampered life. Here's yet another downside to the internet. Mental disorders are glamorized and romanticized. So many children nowadays are convincing themselves they have mental disorders just because they want attention and it makes them seem unique. And you know, it is entirely possible to become sick if you convince yourself that you are sick. If you want me to react to and recreate my old animations, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll start working on a video like that after I reach 200,000 subscribers. I owned that channel up until I was 12 and I abandoned it along with abandoning animation because it took up far too much time. But then I happened to stumble upon something else. Something that would change my life forever.
It might not be the same, but that's not important. No freedom to it. Damn right I support it.
I found out about TikTok when I was 12 years old. At that time, it was referred to as the Chinese version of Musical.ly. I started using TikTok before Musical.ly even shut down, and I was there throughout its whole boom in popularity. I witnessed firsthand the demise of our generation. I saw the destruction this platform was causing. My experience on TikTok is what eventually led me to making and uploading my first video discussing the strange politics on the platform. I'm not going to get into the history of TikTok, and I don't feel the need to explain what it is because these days it's rare to find anyone who doesn't use it. But back in the year of 2020, when everyone was quarantined, I spent far more time on the internet than I ever have in my whole life. And since TikTok was becoming so popular, I ended up spending way too much time on TikTok. Mind you, I was 13 at the peak of my puberty years. So going through puberty whilst chronically online definitely had a huge negative impact on my mental health. And I'm not gonna put all the blame on TikTok when it comes to my mental health because obviously it was quarantine. We were all suffering. But spending the majority of my day scrolling through hundreds of 15-second long videos that consisted of shit worsen the state of my mental health. It didn't make it better, no. Firstly, there are countless of studies conducted out there proving that TikTok is responsible for shortening the attention spans of teenagers, which could lead to teenagers developing depression and or anxiety. I can back these studies up based on my own experience because TikTok definitely shortened my attention span. My god, is my attention span permanently damaged. The thing with TikTok is that it shows you an endless stream of dopamine-inducing short content that you can scroll past for hours. This basically overloads your brain with information, kind of in the same way as binging on junk food overloads your body with calories. It's too much information and too much dopamine for your brain to handle and process in too short of a time span. So this drastically decreases your memory and attention span, which all happened to me unfortunately. I am addicted to TikTok, and I can't just delete the app because my success on YouTube quite literally relies on it. It's also hard for most kids my age to quit this addiction because everyone is on TikTok. If you're not, you get socially excluded. But yeah, remember when I talked about my animation meme phase when I learned about mental disorders and tried to convince myself I had depression? Well, ironically, over quarantine, I actually experienced depression for the first time. I cannot tell you if it's clinical depression because I'd have to have gotten diagnosed, but I stopped attending online school, lost all the motivation to do absolutely anything, had insomnia, and etc. All of those symptoms. And like I said, puberty, quarantine, factors like that played a huge role in that. But I definitely feel like TikTok permanently damaged the way my brain works because I felt like at that point I just got desensitized to absolutely everything. When I first started watching TikTok, watching those videos, they would entertain me. I would feel happy after watching certain ones. Over time, however, sitting on TikTok just became a way to kill time. I would sit down and watch and hours would pass by without me realizing, or I'd watch a video and immediately forget about it on the next swipe I made. And I found that I couldn't just sit in one place for too long. I always had to be entertained. And the content itself oftentimes angered or stressed me out. I basically have a very toxic relationship with the platform. I also want to talk about how politics are often shoved down impressionable children's throats and just the spread of misinformation in general. There was a point in time when everyone decided they were now an activist. This was after the Black Lives Matter movement. Initially, I was glad people were made aware of these social issues, but having this be discussed on TikTok caused thousands of kids to just become performative activists who spread around misinformation under the impression that they were doing something good or fighting for justice. So many times I would see someone on TikTok just spreading myths with no proof, and kids my age would repost those videos everywhere being like, spread awareness, this is important, without actually fact checking to see if what this stranger on the internet was saying was actually true. And what sucks about this is that these people were oftentimes spreading political lies in order to spread their agenda, and impressionable kids would basically get manipulated into believing their messed up ideology. And because the TikTok algorithm would show you videos based on what it knew about you, you were only ever shown one point of view. So it was very common to find boys my age becoming super misogynistic, very right-wing, thinking that being racist is funny, because the content that would get shown to them on TikTok would perpetuate these beliefs and actions. And this is still happening with the likes of guys like Andrew Tate. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, girls my age would get shown a lot of feminist content, which sometimes was harmful because there were certain feminists that tried to convince girls that sex work and sexualizing yourself is empowering, which is a whole other debate for a whole nother day. Anyways, I got both types of content, if you were wondering, because I was always a critical thinker. So little Zezre would waste hours of her day, millions of her nerve cells, trying to call these people out in the comments for their shitty values and arguments with no evidential backing to them, and all of my efforts were wasted. But now I have a YouTube channel where I can argue as much as I want and everyone is forced to hear what I have to say. TikTok is still very political, by the way, but it's insane how normalized it was for literal children to be having heated debates about abortion or laws about rape. It was honestly concerning how such a large amount of young boys were somehow convinced that being wrongly accused of was a larger issue than actual rape. I'm not gonna dwell on it further because I'm just gonna get pissed off. Let's stop talking about TikTok and move on. So, after quarantine, I did end up getting a life. I reduced my screen time, touched grass, worked out, did well in school, and started a YouTube channel. But it's undeniable that the internet had and is continuing to have an impact on my development. Something that I didn't mention was stranger danger. I was lucky to have never engaged with creepy people on the internet, but I know many kids unfortunately have. And as a girl on the internet with a following, obviously I get sexualized by many people on a regular basis who think it's okay to comment weird things under my posts or videos, and I get weird DMs quite frequently. I never respond to those and I try my best to ignore them, but it is something that I thought was important to discuss. But on the bright side, I have you guys. I have this channel. I'm passionate about talking about these things and debating, all thanks to my experiences on the internet. I advocate for critical thinking because of how often misinformation is being spread, and I learned a lot of things at a very young age, which is why I am able to talk about such mature themes now. You can take away whatever you want from this video, from my honest experiences. The point is, the internet isn't a safe space for children. I doubt it will ever be. I'm not expecting it to be. I'm not saying it should be. I also don't think parents should keep their children away from the internet, as it is an integral part of everyone's life at this point. By doing that, you would just be excluding them socially. Just pay attention to the types of things your children are consuming and the types of behaviors they show as a result. And as I said, in the end, I turned out great. I am really proud of the person I am today, and I don't regret a single thing. So, are the kids of the next generation going to turn into mindless zombies who can't focus on anything? Or are they going to be smart, talented, and capable critical thinkers like me? Well, I'm not really sure. Only time will tell. My one piece of advice is definitely don't stick around on TikTok for too long. The amount of utter stupidity I see on that platform on a daily basis is enough to cause me to develop Tourette's. Oh wow, many teens did develop Tourette's from watching TikTok. That's actually crazy. Anyways, follow my TikTok and my Instagram while you're at it. If you like this video and would like to see more, like this video and subscribe. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you're also an iPad kid, tell me any crazy stories you have. If you happen to be a parent, I'm really curious as to what you have to say. And if you're neither, comment something anyways. I'm dying to hear your opinions. So that's it for today. See you guys later. Bye. I have some Stampy to watch.